four of us. Just like to thank everybody for coming to this year's annual meeting and expo. We're always proud to sponsor and attend and participate here. Before I get started introducing the keynote speaker, I'd just like to thank the ICA committee and staff for putting together another great event. I know a lot of hard work goes into that. So I have the pleasure today of introducing the keynote speaker, Aaron Putze, and he serves as the Chief Officer of Strategy and Brand Management for the Iowa Soybean Association. He's a popular speaker and work-life coach. He's the author of 2 books, Destined for Greatness, The Story of Chuck Long and the Resurgence of the Iowa Hawkeyes Football, and You Are Destined for Greatness, Stories of Inspiration and Empowerment. He holds degrees in public relations and journalism from the University of Northern Iowa, sorry, that's a little bit different, and supervisory leadership certificate from Drake University. Aaron is a Rotarian, volunteer, and accredited public relations professional. He enjoys traveling, gardening, and spending time with family. Please join me in welcoming Aaron Putze.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Good morning. First of all, give all of yourselves a big round of applause. You have stuck it out to the end. So I know it's been a busy, please do. Give yourself a round of applause. It's been, I know you've had a very busy couple of days. The University of Northern Ireland, that sounds intriguing. A little different than the University of Nothing Impossible there in Cedar Falls, but I'd like to be. How many of you, how are your brackets doing in the NCAA tournament? Anybody? Show of hands. Whose bracket is really performing well? Anybody? All right, so you sound like me. A couple people a little hesitant. You want to jinx yourself. If you hear that Purdue wins the national title, you'll hear me yelling very loudly. I went with kind of a, not my first choice. So we'll see how that works out. So far my brackets are hanging in there. And also I want to thank Jamie, I want to thank Dave, I want to thank Greg and DJ and Jeff for helping me get situated, get me settled in here this morning, and share a few words with you here today. So first of all, congratulations for making time for you. It's hard. How many of you have someplace else you could be right now? Show of hands. Anybody? Someplace else you could be right now? I don't take that lightly. All right? I know that you all could be someplace else doing something else. The fact that you're investing time this morning to be here today is really important. And I hope all of you have a pencil or a pen or a piece of paper, because I want to send you on your way this morning with some actionable intel that you can use to make your life, your profession, your relationship stronger and more meaningful. Do you know that if you write something down, you're 40% more likely to do it? And if you write something down and also say to someone next to you that you will commit to doing that, you're 70% more likely to follow through. So this isn't just a passive time here together this morning. This is for you to leave here with things that you can use, because again, your time is far too valuable to be sitting here this morning just listening. All right? I want you to leave ready to act. So a better you is of great value to others. How's the old saying go? What does a body in motion do? It stays in motion. Conversely, what does a body at rest do? A body at rest what? Stays at rest. So my wife shared this photo with me, and I said, I got to bring this into my presentation somehow. A body at rest stays at rest. So be a body in motion. Be a body in motion. Make your alliance, make your organization, make your family, make your business more productive and more powerful by acting and being that body in motion. So one day, a young boy walked into a candy shop just like this, and he spent all kinds of time perusing all the selections that there were. And finally, after about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, he brought his selections to the checkout counter, and there he placed down a 1-pound box of candy and a 2-pound box of candy and a 3-pound box of candy. And the owner of the store looked down and he says, you know what, son, I could save you a whole lot of time if you would buy just one 6-pound box of candy. Well, the young boy thought for a minute and he says, you know, sir, you don't understand. I've been invited to my girlfriend's. I got a really important event tonight. I've been invited to my girlfriend's house for dinner. And that evening, after dinner, as we're sitting on the front porch swing, if I'm able to just cozy right up to her on the front porch swing, I'm going to give her the 1 pound box of candy. And maybe, just maybe, if I'm able to put my arm around her shoulder, I'm going to give her the 2 pound box of candy. Where are you going with this? Who's over here? And perhaps, just maybe, if I'm able to give her a peck on the cheek over and over and over, I'm going to give her the 3 pound box of candy. Well, the store owner cannot argue with that logic, so he sends the young man on his way. And there he is that night at his girlfriend's house for dinner. And he's asked to give the before meal invocation. Well, 45 minutes later, he sits down. At which time his girlfriend leans over and she says, wow, I had no idea you were so religious. And he responds, I had no idea your father owned the candy store. What's the point? The point is this. Every connection we make matters. Every connection. You know, when I pulled in here, true story, when I pulled in here on the north side of the hall here, I had a lot of stuff to unload and bring in here. And as I was looking for one of 2 remaining parking spots, the parking spot I had my eye on, somebody zipped in and took it right in front of me. I'm like, did you know I've been circling for the last... And I'm like, I let it go, and I pulled into the other spot. The person who took that spot that I was interested in gets out of his car, he starts following me. Unbeknownst to me, I'm going to a private door that's only accessible to the people who work here. Guess who took that parking spot? A person who works here, who saved me a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of effort. Now, if I would have rolled down my window, if I would have done a gesture, who knows? I would still maybe be outside circling the parking lot or trying to find a way. Every connection matters, folks. Every connection we make matters. Breaking news, it's this. Connecting personally with others brings greater joy to life. How do you derive joy? What brings you joy, sir? Speaking to people, talking to other people. Fantastic. Man, what brings joy to your life? Your family. Connecting with them is pretty important, isn't it? How many people go home at the end of the day and your family will know just the kind of day you've had within inside about 3 seconds? All right, you bring it home with you, right? How are you connecting? How are you showing up? How are you coming home? What brings you joy in life?
People laugh at my jokes.
When people laugh at your jokes. Awesome, connecting. Every one of those things depends on making a connection. Professionally making connections is really important. What is your mission as an alliance? What is it? What is it? I should not be here today to remind you of what your mission is. What is it? Shout it out.
Broadband for all islands.
For the purpose of what? Helping people connect. Thank you. This is my mom. She's blind. We have brought so much joy to my mother's life by helping her connect to things like Alexa, things that need broadband, things that need internet, things that she can say and make a command of, and it will play her, whether it's the Blue Skirt Waltz or whether it's the Iowa Hawkeyes or Iowa State women's basketball games, either on hometown radio, KLGA, or WHO. You are bringing a tremendous amount of quality of life to people that you have no idea how important the work is that you do. I mean, when you walk into a hospital room and you see your mother sitting there like that, keep in mind she's blind. And when you think about what you do to help people connect, you're helping my mom connect to others, to entertainment, to news, to information. Never forget that what you do has a profoundly positive impact on other people. Isn't that what it's all about? You can get caught up in agendas and to-dos and stuff. We're going to talk about that. At the end of the day, you're helping people connect. What are some challenges that you're dealing with today? I'm going to go off script here. Jeff's got it. Jeff and I visited. He said, you can leave the stage. It goes dark when you leave the stage. And I said, that's all right. People don't want to see my ugly mug anyway, so it's okay if I get into the shadows. What are some challenges? Shout them out. What are some challenges facing your alliance today? What are they? You've probably spent some time here the last couple of days discussing them. What are they? Regulations. No regulations in your business, is there? There's no regulation in agriculture. Anybody here farm? Show of hands. I'm looking to the west and to the east. Farms, I see hands going up. No regulations there either, is there? I'm glad that farmers aren't alone. Little regulations in your business. What other challenges do you have? Is that the only one? Shout them out. What are the challenges? Competition. Keeps us sharp. Gets annoying, but keeps us sharp. It's a big challenge. Other challenges. Technology. Just keeping up with the pace and speed of technology. Remember, I'm not talking to FFA kids, so this will work. Remember the first time you saw somebody carrying around a mobile device and you said to yourself, wow, they sure think they're important. And now look, and it was the size of this stage. It took about, 4 people to carry a mobile device. And now the speed that we're adopting, it used to take, we are doubling and quadrupling the pace and the scale of technology that we're adopting. It used to take years. We're now making changes literally in months. What other challenges? So regulations, competition, the pace of change, technology. What else? Hiring people, workforce, recruiting, retaining talent. I had a feeling that you may reference some of these challenges. If it comes as any comfort and any solace to all of you here in this room, you're not alone. You're not alone. Pick an industry. Pick an occupation that isn't dealing with the challenges that you're all dealing with. From regulatory to the pace of change, competition, customer expectations. Aren't customers a joy to work with? They're never wrong, right? All of these changes, you're not alone. So you have company in having to deal with what you're dealing with. So if all of the challenges are similar across the board, what can separate you? What can separate your alliance? What can separate you individually from the others? My hunch is it's how you're connecting, how you're building relationships with others. And folks, this takes tremendous effort. It takes effort to connect. It takes effort to build and nurture relationships. It's not like it's just like pulling a rabbit out of the hat or flipping a switch. Making connections with others and building relationships drive organizational success. They drive personal success. They drive better relationships with family, with children, with coworkers, with people who take your parking spot, all right, outside Community Choice Credit Union Convention. Any more C's that you can get into a name? Community Choice Credit Union Convention. It all hinges on this. Now, I've had the chance to visit with a lot of folks who are really good at making connections. 27 of them are in this book, including, who is that? Anybody recognize that person? Bob Myers, longtime CEO of Casey's General Store. I had the chance to follow Bob as he made his way through the Casey's corporate office in Ankeny, Iowa. And we made our way from distributing to accounting to payroll to fuel to distribution to legal, where the lawyers are. But everywhere we went, as we were coming down the hall, employees would look about, oh, how you doing, Bob? And Bob would respond to them by name. Probably 400 people in that office building. Hi, Susan. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Doug. Hi, Billy. And I was just in awe. One of the reasons he was so successful is Bob knew early on the importance of making connections. As Jamie mentioned, I wrote Chuck Long's biography. Any Iowa fans in the room? Any Hawkeye fans? Not a one. Offense during football season is riveting, isn't it? Riveting. We love our punters. I'm also a Steelers fan, so it's double misery. Neither offense scores. But in writing Chuck Long's biography, he told me story after story after story about Hayden Fry. You talk about someone who knew the value and the importance of relationships, it was this coach. It's why players, and you ever see his coaching tree? Barry Alvarez. Who else is on that tree? Bobby Stoops. Who else? Kirk Ferentz. Who else? Dan McCarney. Who else? Former Kansas State coach. Snyder. On and on and on. The top coaching tree in all of college football. And here he is, probably celebrating a win against number 349 Western Lafayette. But the thing that separated Coach Fry from all others was he celebrated every win, and he knew the importance of connecting with his players. That's why his players spoke so highly of him, even since his passing a couple of years ago. How many of you are a work in progress? Anybody here a work in progress? Great, about 20 of you. Great. As the rest of you can go home, you're excused. No, stick around for Jamie's report. I'm a work in progress, and I hope all of you are too, because you know what? You never quite reach the summit when it comes to relationships and treating others with respect. In fact, I'm such a hard case. This is my daily screenshot that comes up on my computer because I got to beat it into me every day. Aaron, it's always about people, not projects. How many of you are like me and you're task-oriented and you'll write something down to check it off even though you've already done it? Anybody here do that? Don't you like, oh, I've done that, but I'm just going to sneak it on this list and I can check it off right away. Oh, it's so gratifying. And then I'd have a knock on my door as I'm busy writing something down that I've already done to check it back off. There'd be a knock on my door, and I would turn around and I'd be like, how dare you interrupt me? I'm writing this task down so I can check it back off. Anybody have grumpy listening face? Anybody wear your emotions on your face? People know. So I turn around with my grumpy listening face going, okay, I'm listening, but you're taking me away from my tasks. Is that how you build relationships? Is that how you connect with others? Absolutely not. Aaron, everybody is going through something. Empathy, a little lacking in that these days. How about the importance of talking less, listening more? How many of you are a work in progress when it comes to listening? All right. Not near enough because it is the number one thing you have to work at for connections and relationships. And of course, always give others the benefit of the doubt. So how much am I a work in progress? If you would ask my team at Iowa Soybean Association, and there they are, there's the team that I am fortunate to work with. That is the communications, the marketing, the producer services, the digital media. Every one of them would raise their hand and say, yes, Aaron's a work in progress. You know who else would raise their hand, all of them, and say Aaron's a work in progress? My family, including 2 boys who need haircuts. My gosh. I keep saying high and tight. They do not listen to me. Garrett will tell you I'm a work in progress. He's a sophomore at Iowa State studying engineering. Grant would tell you that I'm a work in progress. He's a senior at Waukee. My beautiful daughter Jalen, who's a freshman, would tell you, yes, Dad's a work in progress. He only knows 4 Taylor Swift songs. Okay? My wife of 23 years would say, yes, Aaron's a work in progress. But there's such power in trying to get better every day. Join me in a journey to better and to 5-star leadership. And it starts with connections. Jalen and Garrett are really close. And so when Garrett was leaving for college, preparing to leave for college in the fall of 2022, I was out mowing and working in the backyard. Normally, the kids at that time are nowhere to be found. But Jalen comes galloping out the back of the house, down the steps into the backyard where I'm mowing. And she comes in, she's got something in her hand, and she hands it to me. I stop the mower, and I look down. Now, she had been working on me for about 14 years on why she needed a dog. But it had not borne any fruit. We were dogless, all right? And I had every intention of maintaining a pet-free zone at our home in Waukee. But I start flipping through the book that she authored. I don't know where she got an idea to become an author. So I start flipping through the book. Well, a couple months later, we welcomed the 6th member to our family, Bo. If any of you would like a dog, let me know. He's yours. But, as I reflect on that, the power of connecting. Jalen had tried different ways to connect with Dad on having a dog. But for whatever reason, that day, at that moment, and looking at the creativity and the time and the effort that she put in, made a difference. And now we have a wonderful 6th member of the family, which also really helped ease Jalen into that fall when her older brother left for college. So I'm indeed a work in progress. So I want to leave with you today what I think are 4 fundamentals. There's 16. When I came in here this morning, Jamie says, no, you don't have 3 hours, Aaron, you have 1 hour. So I reduced from 16 to 4, just kidding. But I did reduce a bit. I want to leave you with 4 keys, and I hope you jot these down, to building stronger connections that create more powerful relationships that will get you from point A to point B to point C, stronger relationships with your family, with your coworkers, with your customers. And they are these. The first, the power of positivity and perspective. Think about all the stuff we have coming at us these days. How many of you can predict what inflation will be, what unemployment will be, what pandemics may come along, what disputes there may be, what bridges may be coming down? You think about the impact in Baltimore right now of that tremendous tragedy. Did anybody predict that before 1:37 a.m. on Monday morning? And yet think about all the changes now from where cargo is coming in, and think about all the people and their employment. $15 million a day impact in the Baltimore area because of that. There's so much coming at us. I work for farmers. How many of you have heard before August of 2020, did any of you know what a derecho was? Seriously. And there's a cornfield bottom left near Boxholm. As soon as the derecho passed and we were able to leave Ankeny, I go driving up to Boxholm. Looked like somebody had driven a lawnmower through the cornfields and the soybean fields. There's a grain leg in the upper right hand. This is 2 months before harvest. So much comes at us. We have no way to prepare for it. We have no control over it. But here's what I find. Is this what your day looks like? Is this what your week looks like? Wouldn't you love to have these 3 keys? Control, Alt, Delete. Start a day over. Start a conversation over. Start a meeting over. How many of you would like to have a sign like this warning you of pending danger? If you hit this sign, you will hit that bridge. But does life work like that? No. We often don't have a lot of warning signs of what's coming at us. But here's 2 things that we have total control over. Total control. I find this to be extremely empowering. Our attitude and our perspective. You have total control over that. Now, I don't mean to sound harsh or critical in any way, but I doubt any of you, either when Jamie was introducing me or if you saw me come walking in here, the first thing you thought of when you saw me is, gee, I wonder what kind of day Aaron's been having. What's going on in my life? You just found out I got 3 teenagers. I got all kinds of things that can go wrong, okay? But here's what I have total control over. When I walk into this room, am I engaging? Will I go with the flow? Will I deal with whatever comes at me? Am I ready to engage, to visit, to speak, to help you get a little wind in your sails? Or do I bring all the baggage from the day or the week or the month in with me? How many of you love being around those kinds of people? It could be sunny, but it's too windy. It could be a Friday, but I didn't sleep well last night. Or stock market's up, but this economy is going to heck in a handbasket. I mean, they're always ready to see the glass half empty. Aren't they fun to be around? Don't be that person. What do you see on the screen? What is your name? Is Deb, what is your name? I know. What's on the screen? What do you see? Two people. Two people. Oh, what do you see? Lexi?
Maybe like a candlestick.
A candlestick? All right, so two people, candlestick. Everybody see both? How are you doing, Dwight? Meeting going well for you? Dwight's sitting there saying to himself, do not call on me. Do not call on me. Too late, Dwight. What do you see on the screen? Two unhappy people. Remember what I just said about those people who just see the negative in every situation? All right, Dwight, I'm leaving you alone. I'm going to go to this side of the... No, what do you see, Dwight? A bunny. That's the first thing my daughter sees every time when I show this picture and I say, no, you got the dog. You're not getting a rabbit. Forget about it. It's not happening. You can write all the books you want. You're not getting a rabbit. What else do you see? What is your name as you lean back and avoid eye contact? No, I'm just kidding. What do you see on the screen? What else? A duck. Everybody see both? Thanks for helping her out. Yeah, that's good. We're all in this together. I'm going to come over. They said the sharp people sit in the front row. So I'm going to the second row. No, I'm just kidding. What's your name? Ryan. What do you see on the screen, Ryan? Shout it out. There's no wrong answers.
Tree.
A tree. Awesome. What is your name? He turned his name tag backwards. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing, Mark? What do you see there?
Looks like a lady's face.
A lady's face. All right. Chuck, what do you see?
3 birds and 2 little babies.
So 3 birds and 2. So how many would that be?
That would be
5. All right. Everybody see all of the above? Women's face, a tree, anything else that we're missing? Leaves? Anybody see maybe a leaf there too? So, okay, I'm going to go. What is your name? Aaron. I love that name. All right, it's a great name. So, Aaron, I'm going to bring up, I saved the hardest for the sharpest person in the room, okay? So, are you ready? You're going to shout out what you see. Ready? And there's no wrong answer. I want you to shout it out as loud as you can. You have a half a second. Are you ready? What do you see? A lady with a bonnet. So that means you see a young woman's face on the screen, right? What do you see? You see an older woman's face on the screen. Okay, so by show of hands, how many of you see just a young woman's face on the screen? Show of hands. There are no wrong answers here, all right? Raise your hand. Hands down. How many of you see just the older woman's face on the screen? All right. It's always interesting. There's always about 4 times more that see the young face. How many of you see both? All right. So for those who just see one or the other, lean into somebody who sees both to help you see the other image that you don't. You've got 60 seconds. Start now. Go. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. All right, now I want to see a show of hands. I want to see a show of hands. By the way, Aaron, did you see both to begin with? Do you now see both? All right, so how many of you are not Aaron, But after spending now a little bit of time talking with someone else, now see both images on who had seen just one before. Show of hands. How many of you who had seen just one now see both? All right. Who can help Aaron? No, I'm just kidding. How many of you still see just one image? All right. We'll have after class, we'll spend some more time. All right. What's really cool about this is that there were a whole lot of you who, before you leaned in to talk to someone else, had just seen one image, but now after seeking someone else out for their perspective, now see both. And it's a simple, Aaron now sees it, all right? And God bless you. What is your name? Brian? Brian has been working really, really hard with this. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. Yeah. Chuck goes, this is the hardest I've ever seen him work. This is fantastic. I love the brute honesty. That is awesome. It's my kind of crowd. You know, wouldn't it be helpful, though, if from time to time we would lean in a little bit more often and seek out someone else's perspective? Because we don't always see the full picture. And we're very tribal today. Very tribal. We'll take our opinion and we'll take it and that's it. And as Suku Radia said and told me, and Suku was the longtime president of Bankers Trust, when I sat with him for this book, he says, you know, Aaron, life gets pretty boring when you think you're the only one who has all the good ideas. People who make connections, people who build relationships, people who are really valuable to others seek out a multitude of perspectives. It's key. They also show up positive. It's a choice, folks, to seek others' perspectives. It's a choice to see a glass half full. You will build stronger and more enduring relationships if you see the best in situations. It's really easy to be negative. That's easy. Be different. See the positive and seek out others for their input. How do you show up? What does it say about your alliance, your organizations, and how do you see things? The second real critical, I think, attribute of connecting with others and building relationships is caring. And dare I say, caring more than the next person. We have a person on the team at Iowa Soybean Association where I work who just gets this. And because of that, has just built such enduring relationships with me and every other member of the team. I mean, I can say something to Bethany that, you know, I'm going to see my mom tomorrow and I'm going to be taking her to a doctor's appointment. And she'll go, okay, well, I'll be keeping you in my thoughts and in my prayers. And 24 hours later, when I'm with my mother and Britt at a pain management specialist, and I'm in the hospital there in Britt, and my phone will ring, letting me know that I have a text message, and I'll look down, and there's a note from Bethany. Aaron, just checking in. Hope things are going well today with your mom's appointments. Wow. That's a person who cares. Are you that person? Do you care? Truly care about others? Because you can't fake it. You know the people who they may say it, but do they truly mean it? Do they build strong and enduring connections with you? So, all of you, many of you have pens and paper out, so I have some really difficult questions that I'm going to ask. I'm looking for new victims. I'm looking for new people to call on. So, you in the purple, I love it, you and I colors. So, what is your name, Tyler? So, Tyler, I've got a question for you. You ready? Yep. This is your chance to just bedazzle everybody in the room. Are you ready? Yep. Name the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. Start now.
No way.
No way. What is your name? Eric. Name the past 10 recipients of the Nobel or Pulitzer Prize. Go now. You got 10 seconds. No idea. Sorry, I'm a little contained here. I don't want to get in front of speakers and do the loud screeching sound. You in the light blue sweater looking right at me. Are you ready for this question? Absolutely not. Can you name the last 5 Academy Award recipients for Best Actress or Actor? Start right now. Go ahead. Just shout them out. They'll bring you a microphone if you want to get. No. All right. So forget all that. Erase the slate. How many of you had an Etch-a-Sketch back in the day? So let's shake it up. Let's forget all about all that. I've got another series of questions. Hello, Robert. Can you name 3 people who have made you feel special or appreciated somewhere along your journey, either personally or professionally? Yes or no? Yes. And you probably could name them by name and what they meant to you, couldn't you? Sure. Jonathan, could you name a couple of teachers along the way who assisted you with your educational journey? Yes or no? Absolutely. And you could name them, and I could name some right off the top of my head and not take more than 5 seconds to do so. What is your name? Gene. Gene's like, I was in the back row all settled in here. How did you find me? Gene, can you name 3 colleagues who've helped you through a difficult time? She could. And she said that without a moment's hesitation. You know, they call this the Charles Schulz philosophy. And it goes something like this. The people who make a difference are not the ones often with the most credentials. They're not Heisman Trophy winners. They haven't won an Academy Award. None of that stuff. They are simply the people who care the most. You think about people who are memorable and meaningful to you, they care. And they probably care more than they have to. But they care nonetheless. And because of that, they're meaningful and they're memorable to you. Bethany is really memorable to me and meaningful to me because she just flat out cares. You want to build connections. You want to make connections. You want to build relationships. Care more than you have to. The third secret and key right on cue is the importance of being in the moment. The importance of being in the moment. You know, I said earlier that connecting with others takes effort, didn't I? It takes effort. It takes intentionality. Here's a great example of connecting simply by being in the moment. Wow. Where does that get you? Intentionality, making connections. It takes effort. Young boy could have bought a video game. Could have bought a video game. Could have just walked into that Cracker Barrel and, I'm just going for one of those 20-some meals under $12. Or maybe some candy at a candy shop. But he's looking around him. He notices someone. And he intentionally makes a connection. If you're like me, you're a work in progress. It's really easy to go through the day, the moment, the meetings. You know, you got those horse racing fans, you got the things around, and you're just focused. I'm getting from point A to point B. And I don't blame you, because I'm like that a lot too. But look at the impact each of us can have simply having a little bit broader point of view, frame of reference, and looking for ways to truly be memorable and to make an impact. It takes effort. Because what's life doing? It's just speeding us up, ain't it? Speeding us up. We're going faster and faster and faster. And what happens when we're not in the moment and we're going too fast? What happens? We start making mistakes, don't we? I was speaking to a group one day, and I showed this photo, and they said, somebody, yeah, that happened to me. I'm like, what? I mean, I've left the old tank lid open, all right, and flapping around, but I've never actually pulled the pump. Are you going too fast? Are you in the moment? Are you focused on what you're doing? Because when we get going too fast, we miss others and we also make a lot of mistakes, don't we? You know, I'm sitting outside my daughter's parent-teacher conference. My wife elbows me and she said, look at that sign. So yeah, it's a very nice sign, wooden frame. It's put together very well. She goes, apparently they found a new way to spell fifth in the school that we were sending our kid to. So we talked to this teacher about that. She said, well, a second grader made this sign. I'm like, oh, now we got to talk about honesty. That's the next topic. Are we going too fast? Because there's also some really cool things out there. Life is rather grand if we choose to see some great things that are, I look at that, you know, I would go Hickman Road and I would look out to I'd be like, those two business owners have to be in cahoots, don't they? There's a lot of really cool stuff out there if we would just look and just, you know, wow. It's just, I mean, I've heard that the Home Depot folks are really helpful, but that's going a little above and beyond my comfort level. Are we going too fast? Waterford boy, 8, saved sister's life. I wouldn't do it again. She's been a pain this week. Love that. Again, honesty. Because here's the deal. Big moments can be had in the everyday moments. So here our family is. Where are we? Where are we? We're at the Grand Canyon. This is our summer vacation of 2019. 3,300 miles we rode together. In the family truckster, we visited 9 national parks. And here we are at the Grand Canyon. We're on the South Rim Trail. We're doing photos, and a really good friend of mine who's a really good photographer, I hear him in the back of my head saying, Aaron, turn around. Aaron, turn around. Because he would often say, Aaron, some of the best photos are behind you if only you would turn around and look. And so I do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Back to the power plant. Oh my gosh, what in the world? It's true. 5 people fall to their death every year at the Grand Canyon. That's the first thing I think of. And that's a true stat, by the way. But what else is going on here? What's going on, Lexi? There's a proposal going on. Now, I've got my Nikon camera. It has a lens that will stretch from here to El Cater. All right, so I'm like, zzz, 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 click, 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 click. I'm like framing it up, shooting through the evergreens. What do you think my wife is thinking? She's standing right beside me. Is that click, 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 click? What do you think she's telling me without saying a word? Would you please would you put the camera away, you stalker? I mean, seriously, you're with family. So what do you think I did? Click, 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 click. Yeah, maybe another 100 photos. And then I finally decided, heed my wife's advice for the good of me, and I put the camera away. So we continue our way up the South Rim Trail. We get hot, we get tired, we turn back around to go back to where the car is parked. And guess who's coming at us on the South Rim Trail? Yeah, as luck would have it, those two. I'm carrying my camera. They're approaching me, kind of start making eye contact. I've been called a stalker. I have a little bit of a dilemma here, don't I? What do you think my wife is telling me without saying a word? Keep walking. 2 words, keep walking. What do you think I did? Of course! We come and I reach out my hand. Yeah, that look right there, like, who are you and why are you shaking my hand on the south? I say, my name's Aaron. What is your name? And she looks at me. She goes, well, my name's Samantha. I go, well, Samantha, really nice to meet you. And this is my wife, Crystal. And she responds, well, this is my boyfriend, my fiance, Nathan. I go, wow, boyfriend, engaged, fiance? She goes, well, we just got engaged. Now I have to act surprised. Okay? I'm like, really? You just got it? She goes, yes, Nathan set this whole thing up. And by the way, we're from Orlando. She goes, where are you from? I said, well, we're from Waukee, kind of the Des Moines, Iowa area. She goes, well, Nathan set this whole thing. She just starts bragging on him. Now I expect him to be standing about 10 foot tall. But he's slowly retreating from this conversation. She goes, he lined this whole thing up. Remembered the ring, picked the destination. handled all the travel arrangements, brought the camera with him. You can see it hidden behind the limb up there. The tripod, the whole thing, everything, but he forgot one thing. I said, well, what would be that? She said, well, Nathan forgot to make sure that the camera had a fresh set of batteries in it. So she goes, unfortunately, we don't have any photos. I had the angry listening face, all right? I'm like, of all things, please. I said, you don't have any photos? She goes, no. I replied, well, you do now. I've got 200 photos just like this one because I'm a stalker. And aren't you glad that you met? She says, oh my gosh, you got photos? I said, yeah, give me your email address and I'll make sure you get them. She had now stuff to share with her friends, her neighbors, her family about this special. Folks, we're sometimes so focused on what's urgent, we forget what. We can forget what's important. Any fans here of Keith Murphy? Oh, man, he's good. So I'm visiting with Keith Murphy for a blog I write, and I go, Keith, what's the best advice you ever got on your way to being a sports director? He says, Aaron, it's easy. I got the advice from John Bachman, the longtime news anchor. Be home for dinner. In other words, never mistake what's urgent with what's what? Important. And as a news director, as a sports analyst, there's urgent stuff all the time. But never mistake it for what's important. How can you be more in the moment in building connections and relationships? Here is the last. I just want to make sure I don't infringe on Jamie's time. Here is the last key that I believe is critical to building connections, enduring connections, and enduring relationships. And it's this one: the importance of humility. It's chapter 1. Be humble. Every leader that I visited with, all 27 that are in this book, from Iowa State University President Wendy Winterstein to Suku Radia to Kirk Tyler of Atlantic Bottling to Coach Hayden Fry to Chuck Long to Dr. Angela Walker Franklin of Des Moines University, Terry Rich, on and on and on. They all reference this must-have attribute. If you want to be relatable, if you want to be influential, if you want to make connections happen, you have to be humble. You must be humble. I reflect a lot on this attribute when I think of my dad. So here's Edward. I was raised on a farm just south of West Bend, Iowa, home of the grotto and butter braid bread. Anybody here had butter braid bread? It's really good stuff. You can't screw it up. Even I can make it. All right. By the way, they're hand braiding 18,000 loaves a day of butter braid bread in West Bend, Iowa. So I travel home, as I try to do often. Here I am. It's fall of 2012. And I had that camera with me. So I pull into the yard, and it was just a beautiful day. Just spectacular. A cloudless, beautiful blue sky day just outside of West Bend, Iowa. And I pull in and I say, Dad, you've always been outstanding in your field as a farmer. Can I get some photos of you? Oh, yeah, sure. And he grabs a 5-gallon bucket. I don't know why. Apparently he wants to sit for this photo shoot. And look who else he puts his arm out for. Did I tell you my mom is blind? By the way, this is another photo that I took, the bottom right photo that I took only by turning around. After I had taken those photos of Dad, I'm putting my camera away, I turn around, and I see both of them walking down the farm path to go back to the farmstead. My most prized photo ever. Totally by accident. So we take the photos, and it's just a beautiful day. Wind still, which doesn't happen much north of Highway 20. It's just beautiful. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, immediately, I go back 10 years earlier to 2002 in Dad's farm sale. And I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and I was the only one of the 4 that was able to make it back for the farm sale. And yes, I had my camera. And I'm taking photos. And in 50 minutes, 50 years worth of farm equipment was auctioned off that day. A number of things that struck me during the farm sale. First off, how the equipment that went up for sale that day wasn't of much utilitarian purpose to most of the farmers who showed up. A square hay bale rack, a hog trailer that we would take 20 pigs to town a day or every week, a manure spreader. Nobody was really using those anymore. These 2 grain wagons that maybe combined held about, maybe 400 bushels of grain. I mean, equipment that, for the most part, most farmers just simply didn't have. I think those were Grandma and Grandpa's wagons. And yet I was amazed as people bid on a stalk chopper and all the people who showed up for a lineup of equipment that really wasn't of much use to most of the people holding bid numbers. And there were a lot of people there. And the other thing I noticed was as the sale went on, the skies got bluer and bluer and bluer. It started off cloudy and rainy, but by the end of the sale, when we came to the only cab tractor that Dad ever farmed with, the International Harvester 886 tractor, the sun came out, the skies turned blue. It was as beautiful as the day in 2012 as I'm standing there taking his photos in those soybean fields. I just reflected. Why did so many people show up for that farm sale? There's the line of cars going north to West Bend. You can see the line of cars going south down Highway 15. You can see the line of cars going east up the gravel road. So many people showed up that day not to buy equipment. In fact, as Dad and I reminisce following the farm sale, here he is settling into his favorite Lazy Boy recliner, which did not get auctioned off that day. It was not on the farm sale, okay? As we're doing some reminiscing, it dawned on me. Absolutely dawned on me. Reason why so many people showed up that day. The reason the skies turned blue was that for 50 years, this very humble farmer did it the right way. Treated neighbors with respect. Remember in visiting with Dad after the sale, I said, Dad, you were a saver. You were a saver. You could have added a few acres to your farm during the 80s. You know what his response to me was? Aaron, I never wanted to get bigger because someone else was having a tough go of it. And you know what the 80s were, don't you, for the farm economy? That was Dad. He was the most humble person that I've ever known. And because of that, I talk about him nearly every day. In fact, I'm going to go back a slide. That bottom right-hand photo is Thanksgiving at my house in Waukee in the fall of 2014. Because at that point, we knew that Dad was failing. Forgot where his keys were. Forgot what had fuel in it and what didn't have fuel in it. In fact, he would stand in the kitchen and look out the window and going, I see my farm, but I just don't know what I can do anymore. How many of you have had a loved one dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's? You know that pain, don't you? And yet Dad never went on about it. He lived a very humble life. In fact, he had a lesson for me when he passed on June 13th of 2017. And if you're looking at the grave marker and you're saying, you know, Schmallen, didn't Jamie say it's Aaron Putze who's our speaker? This very humble farmer My dad passed when I was 2. My mom is one of 15 children. And when my dad passed, he was an engineer for Boeing, and we were living near Wichita, Kansas. One of Mom's brothers said, you know, Rita, how about we move you back home to northern Kossuth County in your Ledyard? We'll help you with the kids. We'll take care of all that. Because Mom was going blind. We moved back to northern Kossuth County, and Mom got reacquainted to somebody who had been asking about her, a bachelor farmer from West Bend, whose name was Edward, who she had danced with when she was dating my dad many years earlier. And in 1976, with the words "I do," Edward Schmollen, that bachelor farmer, became a husband and a father to 4 really energetic kids, ages 6, 10, 12, and 13. He saw farm help. No, I'm just kidding. And his last lesson to me was, his visitation was on my birthday, June 16th of 2017. And I think it was his way of saying, Aaron, it's never really about you. I'm going to have 400 people, Aaron, that are going to come up to you. Not one of them will remember it's your birthday. But they're all going to remember Edward. And that's exactly what happened. Aaron, it's never really about you. Humility, humbleness, putting others first. It's hard, I know. But if you're like me, you're a work in progress, okay? Humility makes you relatable, builds connections. Because at the end of the day, what we do matters, folks. Everything that you do with your alliance and everything you do to connect people matters. But how you do it matters most. So show up positive, seek out other perspectives, care, be humble, and be in the moment. With that, thank you so much for sticking it out. Give all of you a round of applause for sticking it out. Go lead and make it a great day. Thank you very much.